Unstoppable.
Ooh, I like the sound of it.
Edge of your seat action thriller that follows Ma Dong-suk. Alright, give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Sorry.
Well said.
Sorry, Mr. Dong-suk. Alright, everybody, welcome to Nerds of a Certain Vintage. As always, I am Patrick.
And I'm Andy, and it's Andy's Choice Month.
Andy's Choice Month. Yes, Andy's Choice Month. June 1st. Sunday, June 1st. This means we have 5 Sundays in June as well.
Andy's Choice Month has 5
5 podcast propers.
Man, yes. Fantastic. Everything's coming up, Andy.
Everything's coming up, Andy.
I don't know if it is, though.
Yeah.
Because I will probably indulge on Andy's Choice Month. And
all right, so this is our Andy's month. Andy's Choice. Mm-hmm. And listen, if we were doing a call-in show, I would ask people, like, what would you predict Andy? And I guarantee the first person would get it. Maybe the second person, because the first person would probably predict some anime stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, anime would be the first guess.
And then the second person would be like...
Well, it depends on if they think that my wife makes me watch K-dramas because and that I do that
because you love your wife.
And that there's an aspect of this that's forced upon me. When you and I both know that is not the case at all.
No.
Yeah, I like K-dramas.
Yeah.
You know, there's no forcing. She's like, "Hey, let's watch this one." I'm like, "Okay."
Right.
There's some that she's just like, you know, I have I have that natural oppositional defiance disorder where she's just like, hey, let's watch this one, and I'm like, I don't want to, you know, just because she's saying it.
Yeah.
But it's very rare. She knows my taste. It's very rare that she recommends one that I'm not like, that was fun. I'm glad. If you have not guessed, Andy's Choice this month was Korean action films, okay?
Right.
Pat loves action. I didn't want to make him watch something he's totally, like, against. My other thing was to make you watch the first episode of, like, 4 anime series that I think are quintessential.
Well, June comes once a year.
Next year. But there were a couple that I don't think that the premise of the story hits as well in just one episode. And so we would have had to watch 2. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't sure how much, like, content.
Well, that also goes against our kind of format of doing a list to find out what we're going to watch first. Which...
Right. Well...
Yeah. Like, these rules are written down.
Well, plus there's ways to cheat that list. Yeah. I may know a few ways. Lately on weekends, you know, we have our K-dramas that we're watching, and Mariana's like, well, you know, the current ones we're watching 3. Mm-hmm. 2 of them come out on Mondays and Tuesdays. K-dramas drop 2 episodes a week. Okay. So 2 come out Monday and Tuesday, and one of them comes out, I think, Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday. I am not quite sure. So that's what we watch through the week. So when the weekend comes, she's like, you know, what would you like to watch? Like, there's a couple of old ones that she's got me watching, and we're like, do you want to watch one of those? And I'm like, I'd kind of like to watch a movie. Mm-hmm. So we've been kind of looking for
action movies,
Korean movies.
All right.
We watched one that I don't think will show up here, but I'll tell you, it was called Midnight Runners.
Okay.
It has one of her favorite Korean stars, and his name escapes me because it's Korean, and I have a terrible.
I can pull it up.
Yeah.
Midnight Runners. And the story is essentially, and it wasn't the one I wanted to watch. There was one I wanted to watch, and I pitched it, and she said, "Oh, that reminds me, I wanted to see this Midnight Runners." Park Seo-joon.
Park Seo-joon, yeah, that's him.
Right.
Yeah, he was in the Marvels. Do you remember that ridiculous Bollywood scene on the alien planet where Miss Marvel...
It's kind of a blur.
Yeah, where Miss Marvel was supposed to marry some guy.
Yeah.
Very...
Is that the singing planet?
Yeah. The very handsome Asian looking in. Mm-hmm. Once again, why they did Bollywood and they picked a Korean actor. These people with their inclusion. I think they're kind of effed up. Like they're not getting it. You know, like
all they want to do is like,
you're going to appropriate Indian culture and use a Korean actor. I mean, come on, man. I just don't understand what you guys are thinking. But anyway, Park Seo-joon he's really great. He's been in a couple of things that we've really enjoyed. But he essentially and another guy play these two rookies in the police academy.
Okay.
And they become best friends based on an accident during a run. It's a run up the mountain. Like all of the people in the
like
training
thing.
Yeah, they have to run to the top of the mountain and then run down. And one of them, and essentially, if you don't make it in the time frame, you fail. Mm-hmm. And one of them twists his ankle. Oh. And he's been like. They're not friends. Like the guy that twists his ankle keeps flipping the other dude off, and like they're like rivals kind of thing.
Sure.
But when he twists his ankle and he's like, help me, the other guy puts him on his back and runs him to the top and back down.
That's badass.
And they don't make it in time, but they're only like a few minutes late. Mm-hmm. And when they find out what he's done, they're like to the rest of the group. They're like, did you see this guy twist his ankle? Did he ask you for help? And they're like, yeah. And they all
failed.
They all ignored him. Well, no, that's what happened. They're like, okay, you two pass. The rest of you have to run back to the top of the mountain and back down again. So they decide to become best friends. And
is that how it works?
Yeah.
You just decide.
Because they've bonded over this experience, kind of thing. It works out very well. This is a fairly. It's an actiony show, but it's comedic too. They go out on the town because they really want to find girlfriends.
Okay.
And they accidentally stumble on a human trafficking plot where these people are kidnapping young women, harvesting their eggs, and once they're sterile, using them as sex slaves. Kind of.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
That's
some
dark.
It's some dark shit.
I was thinking this was a comedy.
No, it's comedic in their interactions and the things that they do. But they become when they kind of go chasing these guys down. I'm doing the whole story here.
Yeah, of course.
When they chase these guys down and they find out where they are and they report it to their commanding officer, because they're not supposed to be doing this. They're just trainees or rookies or something like that. Their commanding trainer just says, well, we'll just hand it over to the local precinct. And they're like, well, what do they do? And they say, well, they'll look into it, and probably in about 8 months they will do this or that or the other thing. And these guys had found the building where these women were all being kept captive, and they were all drugged, and they're like, we can't wait 8 months. They're all going to be dead by then, or gone.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, this is not your business. Like, this is the bureaucracy. You just let it do what it's going to do.
Police?
Yeah, exactly. And they decide,
like my business.
They decide. They have a connection, and one of their trainers works at the place where they monitor all the CCTV cameras in the place, and they're like, well, we'll call her, and they call her and they say, we're in a hit and run. Can you find this van for us? Because it fled and no one will help us find it. And she's like, yeah, we'll find it. So they track it down. They figure out where it's going. They have the gear up montage, and they find out they're going to this hospital to harvest the eggs. So they go. They're geared up with tasers. Guns are illegal in Korea. That's kind of one of the things. So you don't get a lot of gunplay. You get a lot of knife fighting and tasers and clubs and stuff. And they go in and and the whole place is full of thugs. Like the whole parking lot is full of thugs. So there's just that hallway stairwell fight scene of them trying to get to the top, and they end up doing it.
How do you reload a taser? You gotta pop the cartridge out, put another one in.
I think something like that. Yeah, I think they were using them kind of as one shots. Mostly they were using clubs, like those batons. Yeah, the snap out batons. It just a fun movie. You wouldn't like it because of course you have to read it, but. But anyway,
hey,
I'm sorry.
I'm getting a little bit over that.
You see how I'm kind of geeking out on these movies. It was a ton of fun movie.
Yeah.
And they save all the young women. And this is the thing. They're like supposed to be these young guys. They're like nerds. The woman that they saw get kidnapped that they ended up saving, she shows up in the training grounds. They were going to get kicked out for doing this. And their commanding officer was like, look, we're supposed to help people.
Yeah.
if we expel them after they save 20 kidnapped women,
it's a bad look.
Yeah. So why don't we like punish them in a less like, so they got not community service, they have to clean the facility. Mm-hmm. So they're picking up garbage all the time and bitching at each other, and this lovely young woman shows up and comes and hugs them. And of course I got teary-eyed.
Of course.
And because
she got saved.
She got saved. Plus, they're super nerds. You can tell there's that air like, is this our girlfriend now? You know, like, we don't know. We've never had a girlfriend before, you know. It's funny.
She touched me.
It's funny in that way. They were very sweet. It's a great movie. I recommend it.
So when you're talking about watching Korean movies, mostly are you watching more recent stuff, or are you going back in the back? Back in the because I found a couple.
No, we're not looking at stuff from the 90s. This is, I think, the oldest one we've seen is maybe 2015. So within the last 10 years or so.
So some of the stuff on this list are probably stuff that you have not seen.
Very possibly, yeah.
I found a comic book review, 20 best Korean action movies ranked.
Cool.
I found IMDb best my Korean action movies. Ranker, the best Korean action movies of all time.
That would be a little tricky all time, depending how old they go, but I'm down.
I mean, I would guess that the 20
Well,
best...
let's do the comic book one, 20, and then we'll do the all-time one.
All right, speed through.
Yeah.
The 70. All right.
70?
It says the 70 best Korean action movies of all time.
We'll just go to the top, maybe 20.
No, it's the best Korean action movies. It's just Ranker. It ranks everything. So,
but 70 movies, that's a lot to go through.
We won't do all of them. So comic book review, 20 best Korean action movies ranked. Number 20.
I'm giving some credit to this because it's comic book review. I feel like there are people. But these days, I'm not sure. Some of our people have, like, I don't know, garbage for brains.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what they say. 20.
This is written by 3 different people.
Okay.
Vincent Laverde, Christopher Raley, and Tony. I like the idea. We'll see what it comes up with.
I have one issue here, is that those are all men. My experience with people who love Korean dramas and Korean sort of culture, a significant number of women. So the fact that only men have written this, I'm concerned that their taste will not be the same as my wife's.
All right. Well, we'll see.
We'll see what they do.
These are action movies, though.
Yeah, that's true. That is more male-centric.
Yeah. And we'll see what, if any of these you've actually watched.
You know what women like?
Sex.
That they do. and what they like that leads them to Korean dramas and Korean action films? Unrealistically handsome men.
Well... Yeah. I was about to say something about that. All right, number 20 on this
Were you going to
list.
say giant penises? Because that's not true. That's a misnomer. That's a misunderstanding. Women do not like giant penises.
I was going to say something else.
They are frightened of giant penises.
Thanks for interpreting me that. All right, number 11, The Man from Nowhere.
Okay.
A top-tier revenge thriller. A pawn shopkeeper tracks down a drug and organ ring. This sounds like, there's going to be some killing going on.
Exactly. All right, I'm putting a star next to this one.
The Man from Nowhere is an action revenge thriller about a mysterious, laconic, solitary pawn shopkeeper, Chai Tae-sik, who befriends his neighbor's young daughter. When a drug and organ trafficking ring kidnaps the neighbor and her daughter, Cha sets out to find them. Along the way, audiences learn the Cha's dark past and why he possesses an uncanny ability to kill. This is a Jason Statham thing.
I know.
That right there is a Jason Statham
This one's getting a big star next to it. When was this? When did this come out?
This came out, let's see, 2010.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
A little bit older, historic.
Yeah.
But great premise, man.
Yeah. It's a highly influential film and was a major source of inspiration for the John Wick franchise.
See? Holy crap.
There you go. I would put an asterisk next to that.
Yeah, there might be 2 asterisks next to it.
Number 10, Shiri, a foundational work of new Korean cinema. Released in 1999, Shiri was the country's most expensive film. Yeah, it's among the first blockbuster-style action movies produced in South Korea during the late 1990s.
Gotcha.
Shiri follows two South Korean Secret Service agents who must track down a shipment of a potent new liquid explosive stolen by the North Korean terrorists.
I see.
Yeah.
See, if it was American, it'd be drugs.
Uh-huh. Aesthetically, Shiri borrowed heavily from the 1980s Hollywood action movies and the Hong Kong films of John Woo, Ringo Lam, and Johnny To.
Oh, wow.
So,
It's going to be like hard-boiled.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Shiri finished 1999 as the highest-grossing domestic release in South Korea.
They were hungry for action.
They were.
Yeah.
Man, Shiri. Number 9, The Chaser. Inspired by a real-life serial killer.
Well, I mean, I like it. I like the mystery of a serial killer movie, but not in my action month.
The Chaser is an action thriller about a disgraced former policeman who runs a small ring of prostitutes.
Nice, a bit of an anti-hero, then, is what you're saying.
When one of his girls goes missing, the guy Yoom begins to investigate, eventually leading him to a ruthless serial killer. How about this? Number 8, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Yeah, I've heard of this one.
This is definitely there's horses in the picture.
This is
Says it pays homage to spaghetti westerns.
well, I read the summary, and it sounds like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's pretty much a very similar movie, probably just from a Korean standpoint.
Sure, yeah. The comedy action adventure follows two outlaws and a bounty hunter who compete for possession of a treasure map in 1940s Manchuria.
That's pretty much The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
There you go. Look, I would be disappointed if you chose that one over some of the others.
Well, I'm going to save that one for August.
Here's one that I've actually heard of. Number 7 on this list. Train to Busan.
Train to Busan, yep.
Do I need to explain that one?
Nope, that's
one
of the great zombie films of all time.
I'm going in for my dessert beer.
I am almost ready for my dessert beer too. So, and we are going to get you to watch the Train to Busan at some point, but
just not in here.
Might be one to save for Monstober, really.
All right.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool Korean horror films worth watching.
All right.
Yep.
Let's see. Number 6, The Villainess.
Ooh, The Villainess sounds good.
Yeah. Has some of the most kinetic action scenes ever filmed.
All right, I'm pretending I don't know what this is, but
have you heard of The Villainess?
Yeah, we started watching it this week.
Did you?
We only watched the first 40 minutes of it. But the very first scene is that point of view.
Oh, dessert, so good.
So good. It's the first part is one of those hallway, like, old boy, Daredevil fight scenes, but from the perspective of the person killing everybody,
like a first person shooter kind of game.
Yeah, so it's very kinetic with the movement and the stuff. Mariana was like, I think I'm going to get ill watching this, but it was. I mean, she was. The Villainess was taking out everybody in the hallway. Yeah, like it was like gang members were coming out of the doorways. And she started with guns, and then ended up with knives, and like she took out the whole gang. So I was like, this is something that Pat would love.
Well, there you go. But you've already watched some of it.
Only the first half. There's a part where that's kind of a flashback part, and then she gets captured and trained by the government to be a hit woman kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, and so about halfway through, the setup, Mariana was too tired to watch the rest of it, so we've turned it off. We haven't watched the rest of it yet. So, but
is that the kind of thing she'll go back to?
Oh yeah. I think you would love it. So it might be something to watch. Yep.
Number 5, I Saw the Devil.
I've heard of this too, but I don't remember what it was.
Controversial but captivating work that has violence and sexual content, which led to multiple cuts of the movie.
Yeah, because it was going to get banned and
so in this movie, Lee Kim Soon Hyun sets out for revenge, but on his path towards vengeance, moral lines blur whether Kim is a hero or slowly becoming a villain himself.
Aha! I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But that seems a little heavy for what we're looking for.
Yeah, some ambiguity.
Yeah.
I know how you love morally gray characters.
So much. So much.
Number 4, A Bittersweet Life.
I've never even heard of this one.
Is an
number 4.
Is an existential action gangster classic.
Wow.
There's a lot going on
Yeah.
The movie portrays a hitman's moral dilemma.
Well, I'm down for that because that's. I feel like every Hitman movie should portray a hitman's moral dilemma. I feel like
point blank.
I feel like their life is full of moral dilemmas.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Stars Lee Byung-hun as a lonely, high-ranking hitman who receives order to murder his boss's mistress.
What's funny is that you say these names and they mean nothing to me.
Nothing.
But if I saw their pictures, I would be like,
I'm sure.
I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
After failing to commit the violent act, Lee Kim-soon-woo becomes the target of his now former boss. Surviving, Kim plots revenge against the men he once believed were his loyal friends.
Yeah. That's one of the great premises. I think that's the same as like the Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance or one of the. There was another one in here that had that same hitman. Is unsuccessful and now has to fight his way out of it. Yeah.
A Bittersweet Life. It earned 11 Grand Bell Award nominations.
Fantastic. That's impressive, whatever that means.
Number 3, The Host.
The Host is one of the horror films that I was talking about. That's a Bong
Joon-ho.
Yeah, Bong Joon-ho movie.
Yeah.
And I have it on video. It's a very cool flick. Well before.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, yeah. Well before we got into Korean movies, like this came out. This was a huge.
So tell
thing.
me about this. Monster movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Host. When I hear The Host, I'm thinking it's some sort of a parasite that has I don't know, grown out of humans or is out of a lab or something.
I just love how you come up with this stuff. It's fantastic. It is some natural life form that's been mutated by. Pollution being dumped specifically what do they embalm dead bodies with? What is that?
Embalming fluid.
That's it. That's exactly. There's a term for it. But somebody's been just pouring it down the drain into the river.
Okay, and
it has mutated some sort of sea life into this monster that drags people off the shore, and eats them and stuff. So it's a straight up cool kind of monster movie. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, the picture they have definitely shows like a
monster,
eel kind of monstery.
Yeah.
Black, like big teeth, chasing a guy.
Just what you want in a monster movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I'm asking for. Eel-like, big teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Chasing a guy. That's what I want.
Let's stop on some guys.
Yeah. You could describe Godzilla that way.
Number 2, Joint Security Area.
Joint Security Area. Okay.
The highest grossing Korean movie. The film was a record-breaking release. An action mystery thriller, Joint Security Area focuses on the investigation of a violent incident that left 2 North Korean soldiers dead at the DMZ. Through a series of flashbacks, audience gradually discover the tragic events that occurred between opposing Korean factions.
Nah, it's too political. I can understand why this would be super popular in South Korea,
right?
But we're not a part of that political culture, so why would we care?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so
we're gonna have less, I don't know, emotional connection to it, I think.
Of course. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so number 1 on this list is a movie both of us have heard about, but like it doesn't surprise me.
Snowpiercer.
No. When you think of Korean action films, like what's the quintessential Korean action film for you?
I'm going to kick myself when you say it, but I'm drawing an absolute complete blank.
Old Boy.
Old Boy, yes. Yeah. Which we both seen, right?
Kind of hard watch.
Very hard watch. I couldn't even watch the end because the whole I was fucking my wife, my sister, and I thought you were gonna out us, so I've destroyed your life. I was just like, wait a second, dude. Like, you wildly overreacted.
Talk about morally gray.
That's like
So I set you up to fuck around with your daughter.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
The whole thing's just problematic.
It's a complex weirdness. So okay.
This says it's the greatest South Korean action film ever made. Now, on to North Korea.
No, thank you.
Well, there's this Pulgasari.
Oh, I'm gonna need another one of your little things.
No, I can bring that.
Yeah, that was the last one. All right.
No, the only one I wanted to talk about was Pulgasari, which is that North Korean monster movie that's really low quality. Like it's
that's right. I remember that one where they kidnap somebody to come write it or make it, like a director to make it. Yeah.
So at some point, like we gotta watch this. Yeah. Like we have to watch this at some point.
Watch Gokay.
It will literally be at the bottom of our list, but
you know what? If it's better than Swamp Thing. That's gonna be really sad for Swamp Thing. We're gonna be like, holy God,
gonna be
the worst, man.
This North Korean like kidnapping drama, this kidnapping monster movie is better than Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I feel like The Man from Nowhere wins.
Was that on the other one?
Yeah, that was the one we put the
two.
We put the two asterisks next to. Yeah, and it's number 1 on this list.
Yeah. Well, is that it? Like, the problem is, I'm not sure where The Man from Nowhere might be streaming because it's not showing up on here as streaming anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Now, you do have that Korean streaming service.
That's true.
So that may be on there.
Well, look. But if not, we'll watch The Witch.
The Witch? What's The Witch?
Look it up.
That didn't show up on any of these.
I know, and I'm incredibly shocked.
The Witch, Korean.
Although we should probably watch something with Ma Dong-seok in it.
The Witch is a popular webtoon by Kong Full.
There's a movie.
The Witch Part 1, the Subversion.
That's it, yeah.
2000. But you've already seen this, right?
Yeah, I know, it's great.
You're gonna watch something again?
Well, there's a purpose to my madness.
Oh.
There's an actor that's in this.
Okay, that you want to do a deep dive on and find something else from.
Because he's in the Parasite.
So you want to watch Parasite?
Which you and I have never seen.
We've not seen
Parasite. And we need to watch that.
We do need to watch Parasite.
So I
You've got the whole month planned.
I do.
Why did we even go through these lists?
Well, because I need to know other things to get my wife to watch.
You made me like crack up on screen for Ma Dong-seok.
Ma Dong-seok, one of the great South Korean actors. Yeah.
Good Lord.
I believe he's from America too. Actually, Ma Dong-seok.
Can I do that as a Google search?
Yeah. We should probably just deep dive Ma Dong-seok, really, and we can still watch Parasite.
Ma Dong-seok. Let's see. Ma Dong-seok on IMDb. Where? It doesn't say where he was born. March 1st, 1971, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a few years. He's
my age.
Yeah.
Just like a year. Hollywood 5'10". Born in South Korea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I believe he's... Well, once again, you saw him in The Eternals. His English is spot on. Yeah. He clearly has
his westernized name is Don Lee.
Okay. Yeah, I think he may have grown up in the United States, but I could be wrong about that.
Well, he was the personal trainer of mixed martial artists Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman before he turned acting.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Ma Dong-seok.
You know, my subtle plan did not work out for me.
Because you wanted The Witch to be on
the one movie. Because and there, I've seen a couple of lists.
I'm going to go back to the 70s and see where The Witch is.
There's a couple of like best action flicks in South Korea where The Witch is high on the list, but it didn't show up on any of these. So it's one of those.
I think this is one of those things where Ballerina is one of them on the 20.
Yeah, Ballerina is cool. I've seen Ballerina. Ballerina is awesome.
Steel Rain.
I've heard of that one. Haven't seen it.
#Alive. A tense zombie movie.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Escape from Mogadishu. What do you think?
No, don't know that one.
Snowpiercer.
That's not a Korean film. It just has a Korean director.
How about this one? War of the Arrows. They've got some great names.
Yeah.
Officer Black Belt.
That is really a great flick. Okay, that one is it's a guy who's he's just into martial arts. He knows like 3 or 4 martial arts, and one day he's walking home and he sees somebody like a cop getting his ass beat by a criminal, and so he walks up on the dude and he's just like, "What are you doing?" And the guy attacks him, and he just takes his head and slams it into the ground. It's one of the coolest scenes ever. And then he goes and helps the guy that's been attacked, and apparently these guys are the like in Korea, when you are released on your own recognizance and you have the little ankle bracelet,
right.
if they find out that you're a sex offender, if you've left your apartment, the guy that goes to find you is a social worker, but he has a martial artist who accompanies them. And so this guy is like, okay, I can do that job. So he got, but once again, there's a sex predator who, for whatever reason, gets out and he kidnaps a little girl, and so like Officer Black Belt is not having that shit, and they can't find him. So that's
a great name.
Yeah,
Officer Black Belt.
Well, it doesn't show up in the movie. That's just what the title of the movie is. But this guy is badass.
Yeah.
It's a really fun.
You should make a list of the ones you've watched. Like,
I should have done my own list. I thought about it, but.
Here's number 67 on this list, Kill Boksoon.
I've heard of that one too. I haven't watched that one.
At work, she's a renowned assassin. At home, she's a single mom to a teenage girl. Killing is easy. It's parenting that's hard. That's the hard part.
I've seen the trailer. The trailer is pretty cool. Kill Boksoon, right?
Yeah. I'm not seeing the witch on this list. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Well, just pull up the witch, because here's the thing: witch is like is like people with superpowers kind of show. So I feel like it would appeal to us a little bit more.
No,
and there's 2. They did a sequel to it.
Well, I pulled up the witch.
Yeah.
The witch.
The Subversion or whatever it was.
Subversion.
Right.
Part 1.
Right, and part 2 is something else. God knows they're going to do more of them, but.
A young girl escapes from a mysterious laboratory after a violent incident that leaves many dead. 2 members who run the lab, Dr. Bake and Mr. Choi, consider her dead. The girl collapses on a farm where she's discovered by the owner, Mr. and Mrs. Gu. His wife nurses the girl back to health and adopts her. 10 years later, the girl named Ja Yoon is living a normal life, apparently without any memory of her past. Her family is struggling financially, her mother is showing early signs of dementia, and Ja Yoon is suffering periodic severe headaches. To earn money, she decides to audition for a national singing contest that promises a large cash prize. She impresses the judges with her special talent, the telekinetic ability to make the microphone levitate. This makes Dr. Book and Mr. Choi realize that Ja Yoon is the girl who escapes, and they send men to recapture her.
Yes.
And, adventure ensues.
Well, action ensues.
Yeah.
Like, some of the fight scenes are freaking killer, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen. If you, there's other stuff that's from Parasite. Like, we could, if the ultimate goal is to watch Parasite, whatever you decide, just let me know. You got to find out where these movies are actually playing.
Yep.
That's the key.
Yeah. We'll just watch a movie and have some beers and.
That's all
I'll have some garbage beers. You'll have some non-alcoholic beers.
Beers.
Which are also garbage from a whole different reason.
Yeah, but I wake up feeling better.
No, I get that.
The days I wake up feeling better. It's the bourbon days that cause me problems.
Well, I'm there with you. You notice,
we start recording, and the next morning I'm like, did I make a fool of myself last night?
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of this, man. I mean, come on.
Right, well, anyway, the Dame Ed has spoken, so it is time for us to wrap it up. As always, I've been Paul Cleantef.
And I have been...
Clementine?
I have been Bautista. What is his first name?
Jim?
I've been Javier Bautista.
I've been Madame Sook.
Madame Sook, there you go.
I was this close to just collapsing. I was this close to just giggling uncontrollably when I first said that.
You realize what that man's name ultimately means in English.
Bye!
You guys are weird.